Dear friends, it's my pleasure to introduce our guest teacher today, Ven Suvijjana. She is a native of this part of California and for many years was a close student and a follower of Ajahn Pasano, Ajahn Amaro at the Abhayagiri Monastery. She's been associated with Dhammadharini since around 2008 and had her novice ordination in 2009 here at the Aranyabodhi Hermitage. It was the first Theravada Bhikkhuni going forth ceremony to be held with a complete Theravada Bhikkhuni Sangha. And that was one of the most exciting days of my life because Mother Nature was really happy when this happened. There was a tremendous wind that came up during the ceremony, and there was a lot of, it was warm and dry, but there was a lot of lightning all over Northern California. So it was like Mom was doing a great dance of victory to celebrate her going forth. Suvijjana then was a part of the group of 4 candidates who had their full ordination with us also at Aranyabodhi in 2010. She is one of the true pioneers for the women's monastic form here in California. Having said this much, I'm going to depart from this meeting, and Venerable Satima is going to be giving the tech support, and Ven Suvijjana is going to lead you. Those who know me, I'm not afraid to tell you that I've been recovering from 3 weeks of bronchitis, and I'm trying to rest and take very good care of my body so I'll have a sufficient strength left to withstand the board of directors later on. But I'm having a lot of appreciation for the teaching that Ven Suvijjana is about to give.
Well, thank you, Raye. Can you hear me?
Yes.
Yes. Oh, good. Yeah, I'm just on an iPhone, and my iPhone is on a tripod. So, yeah, so it's wonderful to be here. I'm at Empty Cloud now. Oh, I noticed because there you see, there is the Buddha Rupa above my head. And I'm at the Empty Cloud Monastery. I'm in the room that live streams are given because this is the closest to the router. So, yeah, so I hope that I do have tech support because I'm just depending on this iPhone and I won't be able to monitor the participants. So I don't know how many people are watching there in the room, listening in the room, and how many are possibly listening online. So
Anjali Aye.
Pardon me?
I said Anjali Aye. Good to see you.
Oh, yeah, I can't see you somehow. I'm just seeing myself twice. I don't know how it happened. I don't, if I maybe can see participants or something.
Okay, let's see. How about that?
I see you. So,
but you can't see the others.
I can't see the others, and you're spotlighted now.
All right, so let's change that.
So while you're figuring that out, I'll just talk. And
Okay.
or two, so I could see a little bit more who may be participating. And I was thinking about, yeah.
Spotlight the others.
If you swipe your screen to the left or right,
Uh-huh.
Suvijjana, maybe that would work on your iPhone, Suvijjana.
Let's see. Okay, so I see, now I'm seeing gallery view. But I think what I need is to have, instead that I'm spotlighted and then I get the, okay, let me see. I think I need to be spotlighted and I need to be able to see the participants. I maybe need to be a co-host.
Yes.
I think that's what needs to be done.
Spotlight for everyone.
Hello, everyone. I can see a number of people
Can
here.
you see now? No,
I'm seeing people in the gallery view, and I don't know that I don't think I'm spotlighted.
You are, You
Oh,
are
I am.
You are spotlighted. Yeah, we can see.
Okay. All right. So then I can start then. I can see more people. And now I think if Venerable Fatima can,
Yes.
when it comes time to the questions,
Yes, I
you can, I can't see who has the hand up or anything because I don't have all of the people on my screen.
Okay, we'll let you know, IA.
Okay, so I'm going to start the reading for Death Awareness Month. I was contemplating these suttas. It's in the Sotapattisamyutta. I selected 3 suttas.
And when you let me know, I can share the screen, IA.
Okay,
When you're ready, I can share the screen.
So the first sutta is that I'm going to read is number 2 in the Sotapattisamyutta. So that's in the Samyutta Nikaya, or the connected discourses, and the number of the Samyutta is 55. So it's SN 55.2, and I just have before me Bhante Bodhi's, Venerable Bhikkhu Bodhi's translation. And I'm going to read this through, but I'm not going to make much comment on it because I want to focus more. Okay. Let's see, that's not the sutta I'm looking at. It's number 2. Yes. Culmination of the spiritual life. That's how Bhante Sujata has translated it, which is quite beautiful. And so I will read this, and it's going to be different than what Bhante Sujato, how he translates it. So Bhante Bodhi has it translated as grounded. It says, Bhikkhus, a noble disciple who possesses 4 things, is a stream enterer, no longer bound to the netherworld, fixed in destiny with enlightenment as their destination. I'm going to use gender neutral terms to include everyone. His, her, their destination. What for? Here, bhikkhus, a noble disciple possesses confirmed confidence in the Buddha. Thus, and then the confirmed confidence is according to the this well-known chanting that starts Iti Piso Bhagawa Arahang Samma Sambuddho, and that's just the that's reciting the qualities of the Buddha. That see if I can find it here on the previous one. It says confirmed confidence in the Buddha. The Blessed One is an Arahant, perfectly enlightened, accomplished, true knowledge and conduct. So his sila is perfect, his understanding is perfect. He's fortunate, knower of the worlds, unsurpassable, leader of persons to be tamed, teacher of devas and humans. So they have confirmed confidence in all those qualities of the Buddha, and they possess confirmed confidence in the Dhamma. Thus, the Dhamma is well expounded by the Blessed One, directly visible, immediate, inviting one to come and see, applicable to be personally experienced by the wise. And then the Sotapanna possesses confirmed confidence in the Sangha. Thus, the Sangha is the Blessed One's disciples, is practicing in a good way, practicing in a straight way, practicing in a true way. I've heard upright way, for practicing in the proper way. That is the 4 pairs of persons, the 8 types of individuals. So these are the awakened. This is the awakened Sangha. So this is those who have entered the stream, once returners, non-returners, and arahants, and those practicing for the fruit of those. So that makes them 4 pairs. Someone who hasn't quite reached Sotapanna yet, practicing diligently, and the Sotapanna, the prior to once returner, and a once returner prior to the non-returner, and the non-returner prior to arhatship. So those are the 4 pairs, and then they're part of that noble Sangha. So they really understand this. So the 4 pairs of persons, the 8 types of individuals, this Sangha of the Blessed One's disciples is worthy of gifts, worthy of hospitality, worthy of offerings, worthy of reverential salutation, the unsurpassed field of merit for the world. And they possess virtues dear to the noble ones, unbroken, unmottled, unblemished, untorn, freeing, it's liberating, praised by the wise, ungrasped, leading to samadhi, concentration. So this is the sila, their ethical conduct, and this is they have to be keeping the 5 precepts in an impeccable way. And the reason why they do that is because they see the consequences. They understand in this life the harm it's causing to themselves and others if they break the precepts. And they also know the karmic consequences. They have a glimpse into this. So they won't break any of these. So they possess the virtues dear to the noble ones, unbroken, and so on, leading to samadhi. And I don't know, I think Bhante Sujato says immersion. And Bhante Bodhi has translated as concentration. A lot of people object to that. But anyway, so it's saying here that this impeccable, this unshakable faith in the Buddha, Dhamma, Sangha, and the keeping the sila, and all these qualities leading to samadhi, and also some degree of understanding. They have a breakthrough to understanding the 4 Noble Truths to the extent that they have unshakable confidence in the teaching. So I'll read the poem here. Those who possess faith and virtue, confidence and vision of the Dhamma, in time arrive at the happiness grounded upon the holy life. And maybe Venerable Satima, could you read Bhante Sujato's translation of that poem?
Okay, AA. Those who have faith in ethics confidence and vision of the truth, in time arrive at happiness, the culmination of the spiritual life.
Now, isn't that beautiful?
Mm.
So the reason why I'm reading this for death awareness is because it's this entering the stream really eases the heart as far as the inevitability of death, and that they don't have to fear falling to the lower realms. So they're much more at ease with the concept that this body is impermanent, the knowledge. We all know that the body is impermanent, but a lot of people don't want to think about it too much because it's too scary, right? So that's why I'm selecting these suttas, because it addresses contemplation of death in a little bit different angle, that there's something we can do to, actively to do to feel more at ease about the fact that these bodies are impermanent. So, and then so that lays out the fact that we're cultivating our understanding of the Dhamma in such a way that we have unshakable faith in the triple gem. And that to keeping whatever precepts that we have, we're keeping as pure as we possibly can. So that's support for that level of awakening. So now I'm going to go to number 3 and the Sotapattisamyutta. And this one is Dighavu. And I think this is quite beautiful because it's a teaching about a father and a son. And the son is severely ill. And the son's name is Dighavu. On one occasion, the Blessed One was dwelling at Rajagaha in the bamboo grove, the squirrel sanctuary. Now, on that occasion, the lay follower Dighavu was sick, afflicted, gravely ill. Then the lay follower Dighavu addressed his father. Now, this is interesting. He's addressing his father as householder. The householder Jyotika thus: "Come, householder, approach the Blessed One, pay homage to him in my name with your head at his feet, and say, Venerable Sir, the lay follower Dighavu is sick, afflicted, gravely ill. He pays homage to the Blessed One with his head at the Blessed One's feet. Then say, it would be good, Venerable Sir, if the Blessed One would come to the residence of the lay follower Dighavu out of compassion." "Yes, dear," the householder Jyotika replied. And he approached the Blessed One, paid homage to him, sat down at one side, and delivered his message. The Blessed One consented in silence. Then the Blessed One, dressed and taking his bowl and robe, went to the residence of the lay follower Dighavu. He then sat down and in the appointed seat and said to the lay follower Dighavu, "I hope you are bearing up, Dighavu. I hope you are getting better. I hope your painful feelings are subsiding and not increasing, and that their subsiding, not their increase, is to be discerned. Venerable Sir, I am not bearing up. I am not getting better. Strong painful feelings are increasing in me, not subsiding, and their increase not subsiding, is to be discerned. So this seems to be typical description of when someone is dying in the suttas, or the near death. Venerable, okay, so therefore, Dighavu, you should train yourself thus. I will be one possessed of confirmed confidence in the Buddha, thus, the Blessed One, and then it has ellipsis here, and that he recites the qualities of the Buddha that should be contemplated. The teacher of devas and humans, the enlightened one, the Blessed One. I will be one who possessed of confirmed confidence in the Dhamma, in the Sangha. I will be one who possesses the virtue dear to the noble ones, unbroken, and so on, leading to samadhi. I prefer the word samadhi. It is in such a way that you should train yourself. So he's trying to establish Dighavu in the qualities of a Sotapanna. And then Dighavu responds, Venerable Sir, as to those 4 factors of stream entry that have been taught by the Blessed One, these things exist in me, and I live in conformity with these things. For, Venerable Sir, I possess confirmed confidence in the Buddha, in the Dhamma, in the Sangha. I possess virtues dear to the noble ones, unbroken, and leading to samadhi. So we would assume that he's also getting some deep states of samadhi. He's not only the reason why the confidence is confirmed is because has some insight as well as samatha or samadhi practice. So then the Lord Buddha continues to instruct Dighavu. Therefore, Dighavu, established upon these 4 factors of stream entry, you should develop further 6 things that partake of true knowledge. So he's accomplished in some level of samadhi, and now he's getting some instruction in insight. Here, Dighavu, dwell contemplating impermanence in all formations, perceiving dukkha or suffering in what is impermanent, perceiving non-self in what is suffering, perceiving abandonment, perceiving fading away, perceiving cessation. It is in such a way that you should train yourself. Venerable Satima, would you read the 6 things that the Lord Buddha has just mentioned in Bhante Sujata's translation?
Yes, I am. You should meditate observing the impermanence of all conditions, perceiving suffering in impermanence, perceiving not self in suffering, perceiving giving up, perceiving fading away, and perceiving cessation. That's how you should train.
So he's talking about the 3 characteristics, contemplating them, how they all, it's a kind of fold into one another. And then this insight knowledge of the perceiving the fading away and perceiving cessation. Relinquishment, I think, is yeah, I don't have the Pali in front of me. Would you read the Pali?
Yes, I am. Let me get rid of these. Okay.
It should be.
Ida twang Dighavu Saba Sankaresu Anicca Nupasi Viharahi Aniche Dukkha Sanyi Dukkhe Anatta Sanyi Pahana Sanyi Viraga Sanyi Nirodha Sanyiti.
Okay, thank you. So this is, some people might recognize those. It's a little bit different. But often when the description of awakening, I just said, seeing the fading away and the cessation. So this is some level of awakening here. He's trying to direct him to. It says, Dighavu says, Venerable Sir, as to the 6 things that partake of true knowledge that have been taught by the Blessed One, these things exist in me, and I live in conformity with these things. For Venerable Sir, I dwell contemplating permanence in all formations, perceiving suffering in what is impermanent, perceiving non-self in what is suffering, perceiving abandonment, perceiving fading away, perceiving cessation. However, Venerable Sir, the thought occurs to me, after I am gone, may this householder Jyotika not fall into distress. So he's not entirely letting go. I think he's contemplating these things, but he hasn't really gotten to a point of real relinquishment. So that's interesting. That so this is the touching part. This is the part I love about this. Is then Jyotika, the father, says, "Don't be concerned about this, dear Dighavu. Come now, dear Dighavu. Pay close attention to what the Blessed One is saying to you." So this is very touching between the son and father. And the son says the son is concerned, can't completely let go yet. And this is common when somebody is dying, that may be holding them back. So then the Blessed One, having given this exhortation to the lay follower Dighavu, rose from his seat and departed. Then, not long after the Blessed One had left, the lay follower Dighavu died. So I believe at this point he was able to let go. He was really able to really complete this abandoning, this relinquishment. So then, then a number of bhikkhus approached the Blessed One, paid homage to him, sat down to one side, and said to the Blessed One, "Venerable Sir, that lay follower named Dighavu, to whom the Blessed One gave a brief exhortation, has died. What is his destination? What is his future born?" And that's its future destination, or the next birth. Then the Lord Buddha says, "Bhikkhus, the lay follower Dighavu was wise. He practiced in accordance with the Dhamma, and he did not trouble me on account of the Dhamma. Bhikkhus, with the utter destruction of the 5 lower fetters, the lay follower Dighavu has become one of spontaneous birth due to attain Nibbana, there without returning from that world." So he actually became a non-returner. So he may have been a Sotapanna when the Lord Buddha was speaking to him, but because of his, he was able to completely let go. Then he became a non-returner. But yeah, so this is I don't know. I just, this is such a beautiful sutta to me. And it just is so human, just so showing, I was also showing what can hold us back. And then, and this is also helpful for us to know if we're around people who are passing away, to really give them permission to let go, really set their minds at ease, and not be concerned about our welfare. They should they should have the freedom to let go, to put down the burden of this body if they're terminally ill. And yeah, you see this in the hospital where people hang on and they're just like on the verge of death, and if their hearts aren't at ease, or there's some distress in the family, or they feel like they have some responsibility they can't let go of, sometimes it just prolongs their death rather than them coming to ease at the end of their lives. So this is something, as if we are around people who are terminally ill, just to help do whatever we can to help them have their minds at ease. And for us, that we should be really working at purifying our hearts and really understanding the teachings well. And this contemplation of, it's interesting, the faith, the unshakable faith, or the confirmed confidence in the triple gem, as well as keeping our sila pure. And the confirmed confidence is because we've been doing that work internally and developing deeper states of samadhi and insight. So let's see. I'm in a different time zone, so I'm not quite sure how much time we have left.
About 45 minutes, I
45 minutes. So we could go to Mahanama, and I'll read that through and make a few comments, and then I could open it up for discussion. So this is another quite striking, beautiful sutta that I thought would be good for Death Awareness Month, because it is talking directly about fearing dying. Thus have I heard. On one occasion, the Blessed One was dwelling among the Sakyans at Kapila Watu in Nigroda's park. Then Mahanama, the Sakyan, approached the Blessed One, paid homage to him, sat down to one side, and said to him, "Venerable Sir, this Kapila Watu is rich and prosperous, populous, crowded, with congested thoroughfares." This is interesting to think about, that they had crowded cities at the time. So, I mean, whatever roadways people build, they're gonna get congested somehow with, especially if they have horses and elephants and things like that. So in the evening, Mahanama is continuing. When I am entering Kapila Wastu after visiting the Blessed One, or a bhikkhu worthy of esteem, I come across a stray elephant, a stray horse, a stray chariot, a stray man, a stray cart, a stray man. On that occasion, Venerable Sir, my mindfulness regarding the Blessed One becomes muddled. My mindfulness regarding the Dhamma becomes muddled. My mindfulness regarding the Sangha becomes muddled. Then the thought occurs to me, if at that moment I should die, what would be my destination? What would be my future born? So this is interesting. Even though he's a Sotapanna, he still has this concern. I think he's concerned because he feels like he'll be parted somehow from this constant reflection of the Buddha, Dhamma, and Sangha, he's perhaps he's carrying with him. So the Lord Buddha says, don't be afraid, Mahanama. Don't be afraid, Mahanama. Your death will not be a bad one. Your demise will not be a bad one. When a person's mind has been fortified over a long time by faith, virtue, learning, generosity, and wisdom, right here, crows, vultures, hawks, dogs, jackals, or various creatures eat his body. This is after death. After his death, bodies were laid aside, and then scavengers may consume it. Consisting of form composed of 4 great elements, originating from mother and father, built up out of rice and gruel, subject to impermanence, to being worn down and rubbed away, to breaking apart and dispersal. But their mind, which has been fortified over a long time by faith, virtue, so these are the 2 qualities of the Sotapattissamyutta here, the unshakable faith, and the Buddha, Dhamma, Sangha, and the virtue dear to the noble ones. And then there's also learning, generosity, and wisdom. So he's developing wisdom, generosity, learning. That goes upwards. The mind goes upwards. Chitta, I think that's what the word is. I believe that's chitta.
Mhm.
That goes upwards, goes to distinction. So here's the metaphor. Suppose Mahanama, a man submerges a pot of ghee or a pot of oil in a deep pool of water, and it breaks. All of its shards, all the pieces, all the fragments would sink downwards, but the ghee or oil there would rise up. So too, Mahanama, when a person's mind has been fortified over a long time by faith, virtue, learning, generosity, and wisdom, right here, crows or various creatures eat his body, but his mind, I believe that's chitta, which has been fortified over a long time by faith, virtue, learning, generosity, and wisdom, that goes upwards, that goes to distinction. Don't be afraid, Mahanama. Don't be afraid, Mahanama. Your death will not be a bad one. Your demise will not be a bad one. So that was interesting to me, that even though he's known as a Sotapanna, I don't know what the answer to that is, whether he was maybe a Sadhanusori or a Dhammanusori at the time. But it is said that Mahanama, who's I believe he's a cousin of the Buddha, was a Sotapanna. And he frequently visited the Buddha and esteemed venerables, esteemed bhikkhus. So at this point, I thought I would open it up to some conversation, some comments, and if you have questions, I can't guarantee I can answer them. I'll do the best I can. But so I'll welcome. And if I somehow can see others at this point, maybe then I should go to gallery view.
Yes, I.
You might need technical assistance yourself.
Can you click on gallery view, AA?
Let's see. So you have, let's see. My phone is on a tripod across the table, and let's see, it says more. Maybe it's in more. I don't know where gallery view is. On the phone, let's see. No, that's
In the
not.
upper left-hand corner?
That has my
If
double.
you swipe
I
to the left,
Let's see, the iPhone. No.
try swiping it to the left.
Oh, I got it. Now I got it. Okay, I see some of you. Oh, and then there's people that are just kind of generically appearing. Okay. Whoopsie. So I can see some of you anyway. Those who have their cameras on, it looks like.
There's a hand from Damon in Washington, D.C.
Yeah, please, Damon, if you, I'm trying to get this so this doesn't, yeah, if I can stabilize that there. Yes, there's a question or comment?
Okay. Thank you. So on this last sutta, my question is, if the body is sort of held to be so impermanent, in this teaching, but the mind is sort of held to be rising up, and somehow it's implied that the mind is permanent in some way, but I'm confused, not having studied for long, but long enough to have studied the 5 aggregates, and that the mind is just made up of the 4 other aggregates that are just as dissolvable. It just doesn't seem consistent with a teaching here that the body just dissolves away.
Yeah, you cut out. Your mic went off or something, but it got enough to.
I cut out?
Yeah, I
Yeah.
heard that the question, I think, I may have heard enough of what your query is. And that's a really good question. And that's like a lot of debate of what between one destination and a next, if there's rebirth, what is that? And so I don't know if it says, that's what I was asking, was it chitta? I think it was chitta, which is really interesting, because sometimes there's something, a kind of vijnana that's also attributed to what what is it that is reborn? And it's this, I don't know, I want to say a koan in a way, but there are these tendencies, there's volition, there's, yeah, so if there's rebirth, there's something there's something that's carried on, but it's not a self. And one explanation I've heard is that it's tendencies, all our underlying tendencies. So Mahanama has established himself in faith and virtue and generosity and learning and wisdom. And so that those positive tendencies are gonna, and especially the unshakable faith and his learning and his virtue are going to prevent him from falling into, but who's him? Yeah, that's the question. Yeah, so it does seem contradictory, the idea of non-self and rebirth in some ways. And I can't really, I don't have the authority to really explain that well. And but there is a lot of controversy about that. What actually, how that, how to reconcile those 2 things that seem contradictory. but it's a good point to make.
There's a hand from Richard I.A.
Okay. Anyway,
Thank you, Aya.
say about that, and Richard may be having one of those points of view that is in the in the controversy, but go ahead.
Yes, I do acknowledge at times that some of the things I say may be considered controversial, but historically one has to understand that Theravada is just a sect of Buddhism that survived, and it had its own idea of what Buddhism is, and you can see that in the Theravadan Abhidhamma. But there were other sects with their own Abhidhammas, and in the Abhidhamma there's a section, I believe it's number 7, and basically what number 7 is refuting the other sect's version of what they think the ultimate idea of Buddhism is. So Theravadan basically was able to continue on compared to the other sects, basically because either the other sects became Mahayana sects, or also Theravadan was very isolated down in Sri Lanka. And it survived in Sri Lanka when the other places were getting invaded by Muslims and the Buddhist monks were all being killed off and the monasteries destroyed and other things like that, and all the libraries destroyed and stuff. But getting back to this translation of this word chitta as mind, this is one of the main problems that makes Buddhism, as it's being presented today, not easily understood. There are 3 words which are translated all in English as mind generally by the translators. Mana or mano, chitta, and cheta or cheto. But they don't all mean quote unquote mind. Mana is your conceit of false identification with objects, right? Basically the 5 khandhas and all the sub-permutations of the 5 khandhas, which is the 4 elements and the 6 senses, etc., and their experiences. That's all mana means. And in relationship to the body, it's the brain, because it says that the other 5 senses are connected by cords to the mana, okay? So we know even in modern medicine, nerve bundles are called cords. You have your spinal cord, right? So they understood some of this stuff. They didn't understand it to the extent that maybe modern medicine understands it today, but they saw dead bodies, they saw what they were made of and everything, and they could see this going on, and all this stuff was going up into your brain. So when you have a physical body, mana basically means, unless you're talking about the man-made body of the spiritual realm, okay? Or the conceit of still having some sensual desire and still having some desire for becoming of the formless realm, all right? But when you're talking about the physical body, mana basically means your brain and that function of falsely identifying with through the brain complex with the body and everything. Chitta means state of mind. Now we can see this clearly because Buddha says over and over again when describing chitta, he says, a liberated mind, one can see a liberated mind as a liberated mind, an unliberated mind as an unliberated, and he gives all these things which are all states of mind, right? An angry mind is an angry, a peaceful mind is a peaceful mind. There's a whole list, okay, of these things, and it appears over and over and over again in the suttas. Cheta is the actual word for mind, but unfortunately, it's sometimes translated as heart, and then falsely identified with the physical heart. But it's translated as heart only in the sense that it means the center of the individual. And in the ancient world, sometimes they thought that a self or a soul or something existed in the heart, because when you get emotional, your heart is changing, and it's the thing that you can feel the most changing, right? The brain in and of itself is kind of static, so you don't think of it so much, but it seems like the heart is moving around. You're upset or you're happy or a lot of that is reflected very quickly in physical heart. So this led to a misunderstanding that maybe the cheta was in the heart, okay? So the cheta has no identification at all with the physical body or the 5 khandhas or anything like that. And there's a number of suttas where that's mentioned, that that, you know, he's within his body, or he's outside of his body, or he's around his body, or he exists completely separate from his body. That's all false identification. So, yes.
Yeah, I think, yeah, you're giving a lot of information, but we're kind of, I think we need to kind of consider the idea that tendencies, you're talking about mental states. We're trying to figure out what is it that possibly, it's all impermanent. It's all not self. Whatever it is, they call it vijnana. Here he's calling it chitta. And your mental states that could fit in with the underlying tendencies. But there is a belief in rebirth, and what it is that is continues on. There's not, I mean, there's a lot of different ideas about that. And that's what I was trying to say was controversial. And then, yeah, it is confusing with how things are translated into English. But if we want to follow the Buddhist teaching, I think we have to have enough faith that that what we're doing in this lifetime has an impact in, well, even in this lifetime, if we're keeping our sila well, if we're developing our knowledge, if we're developing an unshakable faith in the Buddha Dhamma Sangha, that's going to be some amount of security for us. And whatever it is that is so-called transmigrating, or whatever it is that experiences rebirth, there's a lot of different ideas of what that is. And maybe we don't need to worry about it. And we shouldn't necessarily get too intellectual about it either. So that this is the point of these suttas, is that we can develop our, you know, we can purify heart, mind, whatever you call it, and we can protect ourselves from unfortunate rebirths. They're not even, it's not even a matter of fortune, it's the karma that comes from that. So that's, I think that's what we need to consider here with these suttas, whatever it's called. So I'm sorry to interrupt you, but we're getting a little bit further.
Excuse me, but I was specifically addressing Damon's question about mind. Okay.
Yeah.
That if mind is not continuous, right? You know, then what is this, you know, mind being talked about, you know, rising up like the ghee in the pot, you know, it's going to rise up. Okay. So that's why I was pointing out the problem with the translation. If you're just reading a thing, sometimes mind is talking about the brain. It really means the mana. So when the body dies, the brain dissolves.
This is what I'm saying. How many different ways it's thought about or talked about is not important. It's how we conduct ourselves. That's what's important. Well, and because we can talk endlessly about it, but how we conduct ourselves and how we develop ourselves, this is what's important. And this is the point of that sutta, that we're developing. What were those things? It was generosity, learning. Oh, faith was the first one. Faith, learning, generosity, wisdom. That we develop wholesome qualities, whatever aspect of a self or the non-self or whatever it is, that we develop wholesome qualities. And this will be helpful for us in this life and future lives. And I think yeah, it's not the point of what's being taught here.
But I think the point of Buddhism is to attain Nibbana.
Eventually,
and that
yes.
These things are necessary aids to that point.
Yeah.
Right?
Yes.
But the point of Buddhism is to attain Nibbana, okay?
Yeah,
And
eventually we're ready to, and not everybody is. So we,
Right.
and that's why there's the 4 pairs and 8 kinds of noble beings, is because not everybody can attain Nibbana in this lifetime, but we should at least be working towards Sotapattissamyutta. And that Sotapattissamyutta is guaranteeing that there's not going to be more than 7 rebirths. That's a guarantee. So then either at the end of 7 or before that, then there will be Nibbana. So attaining Sotapattissamyutta is essential. If like Dighavu had gone to a non-returner, that was just wonderful. Somehow, because he was exposed to the actual Buddha and this dispensation, he was able to hear the Buddha's teaching, to be in the presence of a Buddha. I think that's just amazing. And so I think a lot of people were highly accomplished as lay people. But I think we have to do a lot more work. And whether it's intellectual pondering of it or just having enough faith. And there's somebody coming in right now, excuse me. Having enough faith and learning and generosity in this lifetime to attain Sotapattissamyutta is actually not a small accomplishment.
yes, but respectfully, I want to say this, that a lot of these ideas that you're putting forth are obstacles to moving forward. Like saying, because this ancient person could hear the Buddha directly, therefore he could go much faster and easier. No, the Buddha says, one who sees the Dhamma sees me, one who sees me sees the Dhamma. So if you can understand the Buddha's teaching, you are seeing the Buddha. You're right there with the Buddha. The Buddha wasn't 2,500 years ago. Okay, that was just a body, just like the example he gives here. If you took a pot full of ghee and you stuck it down the bottom of the lake and you broke the pot open, the ghee will all rise to the top. Well, the ghee is the chitta, the state of mind, because this individual had his state of mind so highly developed that when the pot breaks, it's going to go upwards. It doesn't mean he's going to take rebirth as a human being. Sotapattissamyutta doesn't take rebirth as a human being, because one of the things about Sotapattissamyutta is he can never forget the Dharma. So you cannot take birth as a baby with total ignorance and know nothing about the Dharma. You have to go up through the heavens at that point. And there are various levels of heaven, and those numbers, if you look at them clearly, they amount to about 7 different levels, depending on how you look at it. And that will take you eventually at somewhere along the line. You don't have to go through 7. Buddha says at any one of those stages, you can understand the Dharma clearly and penetrate through and attain Nibbana. So
okay.
I always worry when people put obstacle ideas up that make it difficult for others. You know what I mean? Because people latch onto these ideas without a complete understanding, and then they hold themselves back. But anyways, like I said, I'm saying this respectfully, but I think it's something you might want to contemplate a little bit. But that's just my opinion. You don't need to accept
well,
it.
it's your opinion. Yes, it's your opinion. I've heard other opinions, and this is what we're facing these days. Okay, is that there's a lot of ideas, and we have to. Each person has to understand it directly. Each individual needs to understand for themselves directly, and that can take time. So that's, but I'd like to open it up for other people to speak. because we have other people here that may have some questions, and you might not agree with what I have to say or how I'm saying it, but I was asked to speak here, so I would like to open it up to others to ask a question.
Anyone in the room?
Is there somebody in the room there? Venerable
Yes, we have our lay steward Grace and lay steward Alex are here with us today. And
Yes.
just checking to see if they have any questions or comments to add to the discussion.
Just really appreciating the conversation.
Please, we'll turn the mic to Grace.
Yes.
I'm just really appreciating the conversation. Thank you, Venerable and all. Yeah, very interesting discussion about the stages of enlightenment. And I just reflecting on what Richard just said, I didn't know that about the higher realms and about the number 7. So that's something to read more about and look into myself. And just, yeah, appreciating the analogy of the oil and rising up and chitta and the distinctions there. It's a lot of really good reflections and images of the mind and brightening. So thank you.
Oh, you're welcome. Venerable Satima, do you have something, a comment you would like to make?
Not at this point, IA. Just appreciating very much this teaching, and you know, I think this is the first time I've heard this sutta described in terms of death awareness, because I don't know that it's necessarily natural to think about attaining stream entry and as something to be contemplating in terms of death awareness. But I really like what you said about the stream entry actually, as the Buddha said it actually, the stream entry doesn't have to worry about falling into the lower realms. And I think that's probably why most people are afraid of death, because they don't know where they're going to go. Like the Mahanama didn't really know where he was going to go. So, maybe if you'd be willing to say a little bit more about how to sort of deepen this understanding of stream entry and maybe connecting it with death awareness, it seems like it would be really beneficial to hear.
Oh, thank you. Yeah. Just it was interesting to me that if we have had a breakthrough and had a glimpse of nibbana, which is what is another thing is described for stream entry, then we don't have the same kind of attachment to the self, and we have a better understanding. We have an unshakable trust in the teaching, and then that protection from the lower realms.
Mm-hmm.
I can't really say much more about that because we have to directly experience these things. There's a certain amount of inner intellectual understanding, and then there's a certain amount of faith that we're going on just because we've seen for ourselves a change in ourselves, a change and the value of what we've experienced as far as our understanding of the Dhamma and how the impact it's made on our lives. But until we enter the stream, we have, we're going somewhat we're going on faith that hasn't been confirmed yet in the actual seeing of something. But I've heard this analogy of what it is to enter the stream, and it's like somebody is in a desert and they see a well and they look down into the well, and then they're certain there's water there. They know, absolutely know there's water. So then but they can't yet taste it, but they know it. So I would imagine that person, knowing that there's water at the bottom of the well, would be doing everything they can to access that water. So that's but first we have to discover that well, and then that knowledge is there, and we where there's no doubt in our mind, and so then we don't have anything to fear, because we know it says that the Nibbana is their destination, and know what, it doesn't matter what 7 births we're taking, but we're guaranteed not to fall to the lower realm. And then that my understanding is that potentially we will, from the teachings, that it potentially can come back as in human form, but unless one is a non-returner. That's my understanding, and maybe there's a different. Apparently, Richard has a different opinion, and I respect that. You've seen something elsewhere that argues against that, but I've also heard other teachers speak in this way. So, yeah, that's the thing with the teaching, is that we have certain amount in print and online and stuff like that, and we're drawing from translations, and even if we study Pali, there are people that are going to argue what things mean by their, we see this endlessly. So, but we have to experience for ourselves through our own practice, through our own diligence, through our own rooting as much as we can the unwholesome qualities. So that's our job, is to keeping our sila well, and pondering the teachings, as well as bringing the developing samadhi, developing the wisdom, and so. But I think that I've known people that are deeply rooted in the Dhamma aren't fearing death, and they see impermanence, and and it's not a problem. They're not clinging to this existence. So I think that's why I brought these suttas out, because I just thought it was important to kind of round out more than just Maranasati, the fact that we are impermanent, that to bring ease to our hearts, that our deaths don't have to be bad ones. Someone just brought me some tea. It was very kind. So I'm going to take a sip. So are there more questions?
Any other questions in the room? No,
Yes.
Hi. Oh, if you we don't have much time left, it seems, but I would love to hear more about what you're up to. This is my first time, and I understand you're at Empty Cloud now. Is that your home base? And Yeah.
Oh, I've been here since the end of April, and I'll be going back to Dhammadrini actually at the end of this month. And I came up with the concept of Death Awareness Month at Dhammadrini. I don't know how many years ago it was. But I just thought, because this is really an important part of the Buddha's teaching, to contemplate our mortality and to become, actually, when we're thinking about death awareness, one aspect is to generate a thought of urgency that to apply ourselves to practice. And another aspect of that is to become at ease with the idea, because there's a denial in a lot of social systems. People don't want to think about their own demise. And so just to become comfortable by familiarity with just the idea of it, becoming more at ease that this body is impermanent. And what it does say in the suttas is that we are heir to our karma, born of our karma, related to our karma, abide supported by our karma. So whatever karma we shall do, for good or for ill, of that we will be the heir. So whatever aspect, whatever you want to call that, if it's chitta or vijnana or something else, there is this these tendencies. And so if we're developing wholesome qualities and through body, speech, and mind, our actions are purified, they're wholesome, they're non-harmful, they're on the side of non-hate, non-delusion, non-greed. So all we can do to upgrade the unwholesome qualities in this lifetime. And this is part of the death awareness, is that we can evaluate what's going on internally and say, okay, this is the work I need to do. This is what I need to abandon. This is what I need to develop. So, so this is why I'm also been invited to participate in this, because this was something I came up with I don't remember, maybe 6 years ago or something like that.
Yeah.
We started this Death Awareness Month. So thank you for your question.
Thank you.
I
Is
guess
there at minimum for newcomers like me, is there a practice at a minimum, a daily practice that you could just rattle off right now, saying, if nothing else, then wake up in the morning and read the 5 remembrances or something?
Oh, okay. That was just a chat came on quickly. I think that keeping the 5 precepts is a extremely important basis for your practice. And I think it depends on the individual. If you you're talking about something that you could reflect on daily, would doubt that these 5 reflections.
Death awareness in particular.
Yeah, that's but that's to bring a sense of urgency, so you apply yourself to abandoning unwholesome qualities. So I would say it's developing some amount of mindfulness of your mental qualities.
Okay.
Yeah.
Great.
And then that way you can start abandoning the unwholesome and developing the wholesome. If you have no awareness of what's going on in the mind, then that it's not possible to And then just be honest with yourself. Oh, I see anger arising, or oh, I see greed arising, or whatever it is. But not buy into it, not follow it, not feed it. Yeah. And so if you have a daily meditation practice of maybe a half hour a day or something like that, that would kind of be a bare minimum, I think, as well as, but I think I would recommend to look at the suttas and then participate in things like this too. Find a good teacher.
Yes, thank you so much. Thank you.
Okay, so I'm sorry. I hope I'm not offending anybody with my straightforwardness, but I was just trying to keep it on course here. So I thank everybody for their kind attention and their participation. And yeah, yeah, it's just natural for people to have different, opinions and understandings of things. So I think, yeah, I think it's just fine. So, is there so do we usually end with bowing to the Buddha?
Yes, I Arahang.
I got our Buddha here at the empty clouds, kind of.
Okay.
Sorry about that. This tripod is not stable. It's uncertain. There we go. Okay, so if you have an image in your home, you can turn to that, or you can bow to the one on there's whichever screen. The Lord, the perfectly enlightened and blessed one, I render homage to the Buddha, the blessed one. The teaching so completely explained by him, I bow to the Dhamma. The blessed one's disciples who have
practiced well.
I bow to the Sangha. So thank you all. I'll see some of you in person in less than 2 weeks.
Yes, thank you very much. We'll see you soon.
Thank
Okay,
you, Aya.
you're welcome. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you very much, Aya.
You're welcome.